happening? Computer is freezing. So Bitcoin, IBT's capital is launching on 1st January 2026, and it's going to be crazy conference, guys. Why? Because all investors, they are going to be around. Basically, whoever is interested should just join in and break the entry barriers so that he starts on this journey. Ideally, what we do here in IBTC, we consolidate funds, and these funds, they are held into an asset that's about Bitcoin and Solana, and then we invest as our premiums as assets under management. Now, let's go. Let's go. So, what is IBT's capital? IBT's capital is a digital asset treasuries, and whoever doesn't understand what a digital asset treasury is, digital asset treasuries, these are companies which are trying to come up with a set of assets as benchmarks or as managing these funds, but under a certain company which is having all the regulations and has gone through all the compliances and all that. So IBT's capital, it is basically looking like a digital asset treasury, as you can be seeing. Number two, we are saying it's a software company. Why do we say it's a software company? Because it is taking leverage on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin, whoever understands how Bitcoin works, and if you have ever read about the white paper of Bitcoin, it is basically a P2P, a peer-to-peer, it's a peer-to-peer medium of transaction as of value based on Satoshi Nakamoto white paper. So as people using it as a maybe a store of value, but basically the white paper says it's a peer-to-peer medium as of transaction. Number three, we are saying it's a DAO. Why a DAO? A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. An organization entails people inside it, and it's literally operating on the rules and regulations as based or formed by those members who are too enthusiastic about its being firm and standing. So we are basically saying it's a decentralized autonomous organization. It has no submissions, or it has no audits to be submitted to maybe as a public company, something like that. No. Then number four, we are saying it's a cooperative financial institution. Being a cooperative financial institution, it entails everyone who has interest to come up with that idea and join those ones who are willing to join the funds together and invest into something as a financial vehicle for them to reach their goal. Now we're saying it's a cooperative finance institution, it's a DAO, it's a software, it's a digital asset treasury. Now here things come up and boil up. Why do we say it's all of this? Why? Because it is trying to form a financial product. This financial product is it is aiming at cash flow generation models as its flywheels. What we are saying is that it's a financial product that is aiming at cash flow generating models as its flying wheels. And these flying wheels, we are saying, will all of us sit down and understand what each wheel is for us to generate the income as cash flow for being invested within IBTC. Now, we are going to break down what are flying wheels for this IBTC. And Ishare BTC Capital has around 5 core flywheels that are to be laid up. So far we are just leveraging on a few, But as we think together, we are going to come up with more of these core flywheels, which shall be as our strategies that are going to be creating or they are going to be generating income and to be invested as a continuous cash flow. Now, let's look at Ishare BT's capital core flywheels. Number one, we are saying premiums, and premiums are the main core leverage with RA, that's a rate of return. What are premiums? Whoever comes up with that commitment into IBTC, what we do, we have to come up with premiums, and these premiums are monthly basis. So let's say, for example, you have 100 US dollars, and these are 100 USD, you submit them into IBTC. So there is a rate of return on the premiums as a financial product, but it is basically dependent of your entry price and your exit price. That's why we are saying it's a rate of return. And this rate of return is not determinable. It might be a negative or it might be positive, depending on your entry and exit time. So number two, we are saying as number one core flywheel of creating IBTC for it to stand, we are saying premiums. If you remember, who comes in has to come in monthly premiums. So we are saying number one, these are premiums which come up with rate of returns, and these returns were not fixed based on the assets under management, because the price has volatility which it depends on. So number two, as a core flywheel for IBT's capital, we are saying that creating cash flow generating businesses. How are we going to create a cash flow generating business or businesses? Because look at now, if we are saying we are going to create cash flow generating businesses, we might, depending on, as these should be our model. IP, that's internet provision. We can set up, or we can come up with a business which is trying to provide internet as IP providers. Then we can also come up with enterprising, that's basically adding value onto already manufactured goods, and then at the same time we are saying creating up trading desks. So these are the few for so far as of the moment, as one of the few businesses we are trying to look at on how we shall be creating cash flow into a BTC. Now we are saying that this will create a balance of the MNAV, and MNAV means minimum or a maximum native asset value. So if the MNAV of our asset is maintained not to be below 1 but above 1.5, maybe 1.2, something like that, we are saying that this MNAV should be maintained. Why? Because if you are basically relying on let's say IBTC is basically relying on Bitcoin as its financial vehicle, we are investing all the premiums into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin falls back to zero. What is our MNAV? MNAV is trying to show us the relativeness between the asset and the collateral or the real value attached to it that is trying to back up it as a serious income generating. So in case it goes back to zero, but the income is still flowing, as we are trying to maintain that MNAV. And we are saying any company which is standing must maintain that MNAV, because this is a financial based project or a company that's relying on an asset which has the highest volatility, and we are exposed to volatility. But look, if we're saying we have exposure to volatility, but at the same time we're not laying other strategies to maintain our MNAV, Because if a company's assets that are trying to back it up below 1.0, actually that's a collapsing company, which should be maybe filing for bankruptcy, as you saw some of the companies like Osela, they're trying to liquidate him, but it's not possible because his company is worth something like 600,000 bitcoins, and it has an MNAV of around 4 to 6. So if BTC falls down below maybe something like 3/4, because right now Bitcoin is at 88,000. If it falls 4/4, that's when maybe strategy B or MicroStrategy can be liquidated. But it's not easy for an asset which is worth around 2 trillion to be liquidated. And if you look at how solid the project or Bitcoin is, it's not easy. So we are saying we shall have that as our second core flywheel of Ishare BTC capital. So let's continue on number 3. We are saying number 3 is expansion of Ishare, expansion of Ishare BTC shares exposure, that is through marketing. Now, how are we going to expand these shares? It is basically through marketing. Whenever you meet up someone and is willing to take part into the business, you yourself, you're the one who's doing the business as marketing. As simple as that. So as you're doing the business, you're trying to manage and market your business, you're getting the company's shares onto the exposure. And that's how we shall have that expansion of IBT's capital. So number 4, we are saying accepting volatility. Because we know we are dealing with volatile assets, if we don't accept volatility, it means no risk, no gain. Best traders understand what volatility is, and then they try to learn the tolerance of it and how they're going to manage that risk. Actually, accepting volatility as in 2 ways. We have VAR as a volatility adjusted risk versus a volatility adjusted returns. The moment you expose yourself to risk, you're exposing yourself to returns. It's a V to V. Rather than saying that I won't get exposed to risk, so I may not expose to returns. It's just reciprocal and self-explanatory. Now, we are saying that after understanding and accepting the volatility, you get exposure, and after that exposure, it might be under in terms of returns, which are positive or negative, but you should be managing these returns. And your risk tolerance to risk should be also worked upon. And the moment you get tolerant and accept this, you'll find out you can be able to capitalize and look at risk as an opportunity than looking at risk as something like a scarecrow for you as an investor. So number 5, we are saying staking for yield. If we have all these AUM, the assets under management, as Solana and Bitcoin, ideally we are going to have the assets not just settled on the platform onto the platform. We are going to have them on the best offer of the best APYs, and an APY is any percentage yield. Why we are saying yield? Because a yield must be positive. A yield must not be negative. A negative yield, it shows how inflationary that asset is. So you'll find out that platforms offer Bitcoin and Solana maybe at a rate of 6 to 7% APY rate, and we're saying a positive yield is aimed at than a negative yield, and this is achieved through deflationary mechanisms. So if you find a project like, for example, BTC has all these characters, we are saying it must be deflationary, and then it must have that scarcity. Like for example, Bitcoin is deflationary. There is nothing, it's immutable, it can't be produced anymore. And we are saying it must be scarce. So that scarcity creates expansion in volume and prices than other companies which form new tokens even or making the ones which are present valueless. And so we are saying also decentralization. If a project is decentralized, it's not in the few, it's not in the hands of the few. Maybe let's say for example a project like Bitcoin, 90% it's within the hands of Satoshi Nakamoto. That one off. So as we are selecting out and we are applying these core flywheels for IBTC, we are saying there should be 5. Number 1, we are saying premiums. Number 2, we are saying developing and generating income cash flow businesses. Then we are saying exposure of our assets, our Ishare BTC shares into the market, accepting volatility, then staking for yield, as you can see that. Then number 6, finally, we are saying strategy and system dynamics. If you have a working strategy, it means your strategy should be working and should be adjustable to the dynamics of the market. Because look, if we say tomorrow that BTC or Solana is not around, can your strategy be adjusted to another asset? Because look, let me give you an example. Rain falls or plants grow where there is all the factors that allow plants to grow. Now, Bitcoin, let's say, applied here. The strategy we have, like for example, dollar cost averaging. If we are dollar cost averaging on Bitcoin, let's say for example, we entered Bitcoin at $1, and right now, one BTC is exchanging hands at 88,000. But we have been dollar cost averaging throughout the years up to now. Is it the strategy working? Is it dynamic? Is it adjustable? So if all these mechanisms, like for example, we are saying CCA, this is crash cost averaging. If the market is crashing, you go onto the futures and short that market as you're hedging the bearish momentums or the dumps on the market. Now the profits you get from shorting the markets, if you know very well what you're doing, basically we use BTC pairs, because these BTC pairs, they show the momentum between Bitcoin and other markets. Like for example, if a BTC pair like if BTC or Sol BTC is collapsing more, it means you can short that if and gain the profit on shorting on ETH or on Solana and buy back into Bitcoin. Same way applicable to Solana. So these are BTC pairs. So guys, let's go to the next. Let's go to the next as our final. That is membership and subscription breaking barriers. We are saying membership and subscription breaking barriers. These are barriers we laid down as a team or as a company, because no one has final say about what the company is going to be doing. It's a consensus that we must all submit and consent on for anything to move on. So we are saying number one, we are saying a minimum or a maximum of the current flow equivalent to every investor's sum premiums plus 1 month upfront. So if you're saying that a minimum or a maximum current flow equivalent to every investor's sums premiums plus 1 month upfront, basically what we are saying is that if you are new and enthusiastic and you're interested into being an investor into IBTC, you must break these barriers. They are basically around 6 of them. So if you come in, let me say every member right now in IBTC is holding on to or sitting onto his premiums worth $100. That means you are going to come with the same amount plus a next month's premium that is totaling to $200. So you are breaking up this barrier to prove to us that you are coming and you're serious about IBTC, Ishare Capital. So number 2 is saying trust and honesty. If you don't have trust, there is nothing you're going to achieve on this earth if you don't have trust and honesty. Believe me, guys. So if you offer out your trust to someone, that's the best tool that's going to drive your business model into success, as we shall be continuing. Number 3, we are saying security, 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 security. As let's see, security. We're looking at security. So security, because we are dealing with let me give you a few understanding of the issue of security when it comes to crypto. If you don't hold on to ownership of your assets, it means someone else is holding your assets. Someone is there manhands your assets like this. Now, ideally here, we are learning these assets into Web3 wallets, and we are laying on the decentralized technology. So if you know how to operate Web3, if you know how to operate decentralized blockchains, you can improve on the security. Now, for example, our assets, they are under, right now they are sitting on blockchain, and that's on a hot wallet, not a cold wallet, because we haven't yet bought a ledger or a tangent or maybe a safe part. But right now what we are saying is that we are sitting on hot wallet. Assets are within the hot wallet, but the security lies on whoever who is in the company. Everyone is fully responsible, the same one. That's 50-50% in terms of security on our AUM as assets under management. So we are saying asset security will rely on Web3 decentralization and cold wallets. So let's go to number 4. Number 4 is saying commitment. So personal competition. If you have yourself personal competition, you are breaking yourself one of the barriers that are going to help you achieve your personal goals. If you don't compete yourself internally, you may not achieve some of the few goals in life. So that's why we are saying commitment helps you, but you must be aware of your personal competition. And number 5, we are saying knowledge equals power. ABL. Always being a learner. You should be a learner every day, because the space is full of knowledge and market change every day. Always you should be willing to learn new things. So if you're not willing to learn new things, it means the space is leaving you out, guys. Number 6, finally, we are saying KYC. Since KYC is something like know your customer. And how are we going to know our customer? That is through documentation, identity, locality, MOU as memorandum of understanding signing, and then policy/contract signing. IBTC Capital has documents, and these documents should be binding. They bring all of us together. After reading and understanding what the document of the company is, you sign on it and you give us your data. Basically, biodata, locality, identity, and everything, something like that. So guys, Anyway, peace. We're going to meet on 1st January 2026, and let me love you all. Peace.